Daniel Cormier just gave us all a much-needed sigh of relief when it comes to Khamzat Chimaev and UFC 319. Just a few weeks ago, fans were starting to worry. Rumors were everywhere. People were saying Khamzat might be injured, that he could be pulling out of his fight with Dricus du Plessis. Panic was creeping in. Nobody wanted to believe it, but the fear was real. Now DC, Daniel Cormier, came forward and put those fears to rest. He shared something that completely changed the vibe. He said he saw something recently that gave him full confidence that Chimaev is 100% ready. DC revealed he saw Khamzat training in Los Angeles and not just casually training. He was working with Coach Sam, one of the best in the business. This is the same coach who's famous for pushing fighters to their limits in cardio, strength, and full fight prep. He's no joke, and DC made it clear, if Khamzat is working with Coach Sam, it means one thing: the man is locked in. He's not coasting, he's not limping through training, he's dialed in. That's a sign, a big one. So all the guessing, done. The fear of him pulling out, gone. Khamzat is back on track. UFC 319 is still very much alive, and it's not just any card. This one could end up being one of the biggest events of the year, because if Khamzat wins, oh man, the UFC is about to explode with superstar power. Think about it. Khamzat Chimaev and Ilia Topuria, both undefeated, both absolute monsters, both with knockout power, fan bases around the world, and that special X factor. These two guys could end up carrying the UFC into the next era. But let's not forget, standing in Khamzat's way is the champion Dricus du Plessis. The guy's on a wild win streak. He's hungry, he's been overlooked before, and he wants nothing more than to shut down all the hype.
Khamzat Chimaev is supposed to fight Dricus du Plessis. Not even a month ago, there were rumors that Khamzat Chimaev was injured, that he was not going to be in Chicago. Guess what? He's going to Chicago. I saw him training with Coach Calavita in the garage down in Los Angeles. And if you're training with that man, there is nothing wrong with you. Because the way that he pushes his athletes, the way that he works them to exhaustion, the way that he really does test you mentally, physically, that means you cannot be injured. And if Khamzat Chimaev was to have any issue with Dricus du Plessis, as we saw with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, it would be the longer fight and the cardio. If there's a guy that can get him ready, it is Coach Cal. It seems like he's doing all the right things. But hold on a minute. You do not look past DDP. Time and time again, people want to disrespect this young man. He is a dominant champion, and he intends to get the job done again at UFC 319 down the street.
Recently, Ilia Topuria sat down for an interview with Spanish journalist Alvaro Comro, and wow, he didn't hold anything back. They talked about the recent rumors, the buzz about Ilia possibly moving up to welterweight, and of course they had to ask about those viral photos of him sparring with Ian Garry. Ilia confirmed it. Yes, he sparred with Ian Garry, and he felt good. More than good. He felt totally in control. He said he never, not once, felt like he was at any disadvantage. That's a big deal. And let's be real, this wasn't just about Ian Garry. This was a clear message, aimed right at Islam Makhachev. Ilia's been chasing that fight, that dream matchup at 170, and he's showing that he's not just dreaming, he's preparing. He's ready to cross divisions if that's what it takes to prove his greatness. But the sparring didn't stop with Ian Garry. Ilia made it clear, he's gone rounds with several welterweights. Not one of them made him feel outclassed. Not one overwhelmed him.
And here's the thing, it's not just Ilia saying that. Big names like Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns have backed it up. They've acknowledged that Ilia held his own with elite-level welterweights, even landed big shots. The man's serious, and he's not slowing down. One more fight is expected before the year ends. Names like Paddy Pimblett and Arman Tsarukyan are being thrown around. But let's not kid ourselves, Ilia's eyes are locked on Islam. That's the fight he wants. That's the mountain he's climbing toward. We've all seen the pictures of him sparring with Ian Garry. And of course, everyone's talking. Is Ilia making the jump to 170? Could he really be chasing history, becoming the first ever 3-division UFC champion? So how did that sparring session really go? Ilia opened up. He said it wasn't some wild brawl. It was technical, it was controlled, but it was still serious. They weren't going easy on each other. They were learning from one another, pushing each other. And even in that kind of setting, Ilia felt strong, confident, comfortable. That says a lot. He's trained with a bunch of welterweights, and every time, it's the same story. He feels at home in there. Then there was a shocker out of UFC Abu Dhabi. The co-main event between Movsar Evloev and Aaron Pico cancelled. This was supposed to be a 5-round war between undefeated Evloev and the exciting newcomer Pico. Dana White himself had confirmed it. This was going to be a big one. But now, just weeks before the card, bad news hit. Red Corner MMA reported that Movsar had to pull out, either an injury or some health issue during training in Thailand. Details are still unclear. No word yet if Pico will stay on the card or if they'll try to reschedule. This is a major blow, not just for the card, but for Movsar's career. See, Volkanovski, the featherweight champ, still hasn't booked his next title defense. Rumors say maybe a rematch with Yair Rodriguez, but Volker said over and over he wants to fight Evloev next. He respects him. He sees the challenge. Problem is, the UFC isn't exactly excited about Evloev's grinding style. And now this injury, it could push him even further away from the spotlight. That's rough. For a guy who's undefeated, who was finally getting a title eliminator in a 5-round fight, this injury might cost him more than just this matchup. It could cost him his chance at the belt. What do you think? Should the UFC still make Movsar a priority when he's back? Or does this open the door even wider for Yair to slide into a title shot? Back to Ilia Topuria. Some fans and folks in the MMA community weren't totally blown away by Ilia's knockout win over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317.
Their argument? Charles was coming off just one win, and before that, he lost to Arman Tsarukyan. So they questioned if beating him really proved Ilia's worth at lightweight. Even Josh Thompson admitted he was one of those people. At first, he didn't think it was that big a deal, but now he's changing his tune. So is Big John McCarthy. They both pointed out something important. Regardless of recent losses, Charles Oliveira is still a killer. We're talking about a guy who's finished Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, and more. You can't erase that just because he lost to Armand. That fight was close too. So for Ilia, a featherweight, to come up to lightweight and knock Charles out the way he did, that's huge. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Ilia didn't squeak by, he dominated. His power, his timing, his calm under pressure, it all translated perfectly at 155. Josh and Big John both agree now. This was a massive win. It matters. Whether fans want to admit it or not, Ilia Topuria just knocked out the most prolific finisher in UFC history. That should never be ignored.
He's only on a 1-fight win streak. Yeah, that was against Chandler. And his fight before that was Tsarukyan. But it wasn't like, and this is where, I'm going to put it in reverse. Tsarukyan sitting there talking about, I beat him. You squeaked out. And we're lucky.
In a 3-round fight.
Lucky that, he didn't attempt to go for that Darce at the end better than what he was doing. He was just kind of, laying there with it. He had you locked up and you're flattening out to make it so it's not going to work. But he could have fought more to try to make it work. And if it started to put pressure on you, those judges would have flipped the other way. And you would have been on the end of that, split decision. So, he got it before that fight. He had a win against Beneil. Yeah, then the one before that was his losing his championship to Islam. But, take a look at the people he beat before that. Dustin Poirier, not bad, right? And then you had Justin Gaethje.
So what do you think about Ilia Topuria's future in the UFC? Will he really jump to welterweight? Will we witness something historic? A shot at becoming the first ever 3-division champion? The road ahead is wild. The matchups are massive. And Ilia isn't backing down from any of them. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this update, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed for daily MMA news. Thanks for watching.